morning, everybody. Good morning, Instagram. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, Facebook. Hello, everyone. It is Thursday morning. It is a beautiful sunny day here in St. Louis. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this winter thing might be behind us, perhaps, that maybe we've had our fun. And, I'm going to wishfully think that we'll have no more snow for the rest of the year. I just feel like it's the right thing. Oh my gosh. So, you guys, we have a new camera. So, for those of you guys watching us on Facebook, and on YouTube, my shirt is actually purple. We were noticing when we were showing you guys fabric that purple looked blue. And so we decided to make a change and fix that. So I hope you guys like the new camera and that it's actually, it was one of these ones where if I moved like this, like it would follow me. And we kind of had to turn off that feature. It was a little too creepy. So welcome Thursday morning. Good morning. Shirley in Alaska, it is definitely Thursday. I know you were questioning if it was the right day. And so, yes, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. All right. We have an exciting topic today. And I know these are one of these things that if you're an advanced quilter, you're like, how do you not know chain piecing? But if you're a beginning quilter, I remember the day I learned chain piecing, my whole world, it became a purple shirt on a camera. And so we wanted to cover this. We have a lot of tips and we have a lot of tricks to share with you, as well as some common mistakes and pitfalls. And so even if you are a seasoned professional chain piecer, I'm going to give you some kind of advanced tips and tricks that I use when I'm chain piecing. Maybe you might learn something and it'd be absolutely fantastic. Good morning, Melissa from Peoria, Illinois. I think we've mentioned that's where my husband's from. I spent a lot of time in Peoria. Patch says my shirt still looks blue. I am so sorry, Patch. It is definitely purple. We will work on that. I'm sure there's probably a saturation setting that needs to be fixed. Savannah says she just got a bunch more snow last night. I'm sorry about that. It is like 55, 60 degrees into this weekend for us. So we are in love. I know. I think you guys can see all my wrinkles, Chloe. Okay. All right, here we go. So we're going to talk about chain piecing. It's going to be fun. Hopefully you guys picked up a few tips and tricks, especially as we start preparing for Luau. As you guys know, chain piecing with Luau is like awesome. Yes. On Instagram, Photo Girl, it has always looked purple. We've never had a problem with that. It's the other camera that always just gives us fit. And we're like, this is purple. And no, really, it's actually purple. Okay. Yeah, I guess maybe the shirt is just that purple that might be blue. We'll figure it out. Okay. Let's get to the good stuff, you guys. Let's get to the sewing and inspiration updates. Okay. So we're going to start as we always do with questions that have been submitted by you guys. Go to cottoncuts.com/live to submit a question. It is on the paper in front of me. I have no idea what adventure we're going to go on today. So let's just see what happens. Our first question comes to us from Patricia Henderson in Burlington, Vermont. I've been quilting for about 2 years now and feel like I'm getting better at piecing, but my points still don't always match up perfectly. What am I doing wrong? Is it my cutting, my pressing, or my sewing? Help. Okay, so I know as quilters, we're cutting apart this fabric into these beautiful geometric shapes, and we want them to stitch back together in the same beautiful geometric shapes that we cut out, but in different fabrics and different patterns. And so it can be frustrating when those points don't match up. I know for me, when I started quilting again in my early 20s, I stuck to pre-cuts because I didn't want to have to deal with, oh my gosh, I'm cutting a triangle, and what if it doesn't go back together correctly? And it took me a long time to get past that mental hurdle to actually start sewing more advanced shapes. So Patricia, I completely get it. I completely understand. It can be vexing to put all of this. I'm an engineer. All the points have to match. Otherwise, in medical devices, people die or buildings fall down. So it was always important for me, those points to match up. And so there's a couple of different things that could be contributing towards your points not matching up correctly. So the first is the cutting, right? And so there's a ton of YouTube videos out there about how to cut and measure. Like with everything in quilting, as long as you're consistent, the cutting will work itself out. So there's general rules of thumb about not using your cutting mat to measure your parts and pieces. If you do, it'll still be okay. Just consistently use the same things. Making sure that the line on your ruler when you're cutting a dimension and you're actually using your ruler for the measurements is to get the ink of the line you want to cut to on top of your fabric, not alongside of it. And definitely don't be consistent, because that little itty bitty 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch will add up depending on the number of pieces that you have in your quilt. And so the cutting is definitely important. Also, your rotary cutter. We've been playing with a lot of different rotary cutters and blades here in the shop. And you'd be surprised the variability in blades, the variability in hand cutters, as well as the variability in your cutting mat. The hardness and firmness of your cutting mat actually does impact the shape when you cut it, as well as the sharpness of your blade This is one of these things that, people, blades are expensive. I get it. Every time you have to go buy a new blade, it's kind of expensive. But once you put that new fresh blade in there, you are like, mind is completely blown. The world is returned to color. Why wasn't I using a new blade before? And so those little things will help you improve the accuracy of your cutting. Let's see here. Patch loves Pink Moon. I love Pink Moon too. Those little birds with those necklaces, man, who would have thought? Um, Let's see here. Next is the sewing and making sure that you're consistently sewing. One of my biggest game changers when I started piecing was knowing that my machine had a foot on it that I could buy that was a 1/4 inch piecing foot. I just assumed I had to use the feet that came with the machine. And there's like 6 feet in there. Surely one of them must be great for quilting. And I didn't realize that if I paid $10, $15, I could actually get this little foot that's made for quilting, and it's made for your 1/4 inches, and it has a small little hole, and it doesn't have all these clear pieces, and you don't have to worry about inconsistency in lining up your fabrics. Just go get the 1/4 inch quarter inch quilting piecing foot. And that was one of those things. Once I got that on my machine, my sewing changed completely because I was definitely in the painter's tape. I was doing all sorts of crazy, like, they have attachments that have a laser line. You don't need to do all those things. The presser foot is definitely one of the easiest and quickest ways to improve your stitching as you're sewing your parts and pieces. Gail says, watch out for your cutting mat. When I get grooves in it, I have to rotate it to cut better. That's another piece as well, that the cutting mat will stretch over time. If you're consistently cutting the same dimension or consistently starting at 0 as all of your starting points, you are going to get some grooves and some wear in it. This is where we have to, expand our brains and go back to all the math we learned in middle school and make sure that we're not just always starting at 0. You can start 1 inch and then just add an inch to whatever you're doing. Take just a little bit more time because you want to make sure that you're adding an inch everywhere. If you do those offsets and those little tricks to extend the life of your cutting mat. And then the third part of your question was pressing. And so we keep coming up on this. I feel like we have to have a show where we talk about pressing, the difference between pressing and ironing. So I know when I was growing up, it was all about, we're going to iron dad's shirts, and, we just take our iron and we put the starch on it. And we put our iron on the fabric and we press it all the way down. For quilting, you definitely want to hold, lift, hold. And you just want to push down with even pressure. And I know that it's so easy to be like, I'm just going to run my iron right over these parts and pieces. And so those micro changes that you're introducing by stretching the fabric do impact your seams a little bit. They can be compensated by other tricks down the way. But anytime you're actually pressing and then pressing against the fabric while you're pressing open a seam, you are going to be moderately distorting and stretching those seams. Also, one of the tricks that I always use, I haven't had water in my iron in about 12 years. Like, this is one of these things, I just took the water out because that steam, once you introduce steam to fabric, it is going to stretch it as it dries, and it's not going to dry how it started. It's not going to come out the same way it went in. And so I don't use steam until the very end when I have everything stitched together as one final press. Let's see here. Laura is asking, what would I search for to find good video on YouTube about the cutting topics you were talking about? I want to know more about what you said. So Laura, some fantastic resources that really improved my accuracy of cutting was Bonnie Hunter. I've done a couple of her mystery quilts before. These are really, really big projects, but when she writes patterns, she writes narratives. So it's not just cut 2 strips 4 inches long. She actually gives you a lot of background and a lot of introduction into how to actually cut those strips accurately and to make sure they're consistent. And so when it came to the cutting pieces for me, Bonnie Hunter was a fantastic resource. Now, mind you, I'm an engineer. The narrative pattern of the, like, here's a whole paragraph. At the end of the day, I was like, just give me the bullet point. Like, just tell me what to do. But I learned that through the patience of reading through all that my knowledge base expanded so significantly by reading her patterns. And so I feel like it's not maybe not necessarily a YouTube video. I don't think she does YouTube videos, but in her patterns and the way she writes her patterns, there are fantastic resources there for how to improve on the cutting. We might want to come back and do another cutting topic show, Paula, where we actually talk about some of the tips and tricks on how to get accurate cutting. And Laura, of course, I'm going to do a self-promotional plug here. You could just buy a cut and cuts kit because we do all the cutting for you, and so you don't have to worry about it. Yeah. Lonnie says she doesn't use water in her iron either. I feel like that's one of those things, and especially here in the shop. When we start putting water through irons, they rust, and then all of a sudden we spit rust on fabric, which is not a good look because it's really, really hard to get out. So we took all the water, we take as much water out of the process as we can. Yes, Josie, I love Bonnie Hunter. It took me a while to adjust to the narrative form, but I've learned so much from it. Yes, and Patch, definitely buy a cut and cut fit. We'll take care of all those cutting problems for you. And so then, Patricia, I would say the last piece to this is one of the like biggest eye-opening changes for me when it came to piecing and getting my things to connect together was nesting my seams. And so that was a concept that when I was growing up, I sewed clothing, I sewed fabric, I sewed a lot of things that I was always told either press your seams open or press to the dark side. I was pressing to the dark side on everything. We're just going to press to the dark side, press to the dark side. And it wasn't until about maybe 10 years ago that it really became very popular in patterns to give you pressing directions. So it wasn't universal, everyone's going to press to the dark side, everyone's going to press to the light side. We started pressing with intentionality because when we press with the intentionality, when we put our pieces of fabric together, we reduce that bulk at those intersections. We reduce the chance of the fabrics slipping and offsetting, and you get a higher chance of making sure that your points actually match. And so this nesting of the seam concept, we talked about it in a few shows and we have some demos. I have no doubt Paula can find that video and post it here. But when we have the nestings of the seams, because I would get frustrated. You know, you're sewing along and all of a sudden you get to an intersection of these points that you want to match, and you're sewing through about 12 layers of fabric by the time you take all these seams and you put them all together. And so in that case, when you nest the seams, you keep them flatter, you keep them more even, and you increase your chances of those fabric nesting together and making a perfect point. I do see starch and best press. Yes, Catherine, those definitely help. And then there's the new pen. I always forget its name. It's not something that I use in my rotation, but I know a lot of you guys use it, where you actually have a pen that puts kind of a best press right at a seam after you've sewn it. That is another fantastic thing to make sure you're increasing your accuracy and consistency with all these starching and best pressing and the pens on the seam. Acorn pen, thank you, Greta. I knew someone would know it. Make sure you're using them consistently. So you can't use it on one part of your quilt and not the other because it's going to be a distorted, wavy mess. Make sure that you're using them consistently, either from the beginning of your project all the way through the end. If you want to just starch the pieces before you do the final assembly, all of that, make sure you're starching, best pressing, and acorn penning consistently throughout your entire project. Otherwise, you will have a little bit of a challenge. Laura says she's been loving your kits, but have a favorite pattern I created and I can't give up. Yes, I think Bonnie is the one that I learned the most from in the quickest, easiest fashion. I did see another note in here that I to talk about. Let's see here. Let's see here. Aria DeRue asks, and I'm hoping I pronounced that correctly. I'm confused about when you should use a scant quarter inch when the pattern doesn't say one way or another. So my suggestion is that you always use a scant quarter inch when you're piecing something for quilting. Because as we talked about on last week's show, when you open up that seam, you're going to lose about 3 widths of fabric, 3 kind of columns of fabric whenever you open it. And so you're going to lose that 3 inches, like just a skinny, teeny, tiny little bit every time you open it and press it. And over the full length of your quilt, that can add up and cause some distortion. So I would suggest always using the scant quarter inch and using it consistently whenever you're working on a project. Please don't start using a quarter inch and then realize it's not working and then go to a scant quarter inch as a methodology. Just try to be as consistent as possible. It's geometry. It should all still work. It will just, over a larger quilt, have a bigger impact on your finished dimension. Catherine recommends starching before you cut. Let's see here. So definitely, like I said, make sure you're starting at the same part of the process. But I talked about this a lot last week, Catherine. I had some pieces that were cut on bias, and as long as you're starching at the same part of the process, it usually works out at the end. The fabric doesn't shrink much, but some others do, and that will throw your blocks way off. Yes. So if you're this is like there's the starch camp and there's the never starch camp, and I am in the depends on the project starch camp. But again, if I'm going to use it on a project, I use it the entire way. You go all in. Okay, Patricia, holy cow, what an incredible question. Thank you so much for this. This was awesome. We had a fantastic conversation here. We also have another question from Michelle Torres in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Thanks for your question, Michelle. Michelle says, I keep hearing people talk about nesting seams. We literally just did, but I don't really understand what that means or how to do it. Can you explain? Okay, so Michelle, we just spent a ton of time talking about nesting seams at a super high level. I did an entire show about this. So what I'm going to ask is that Paula finds the show where we talk about nesting seams. It really is to just get those points and those corners as consistent as possible, and to make sure that that your pieces look as geometrically sharp as they possibly can. And it's pressing with intention versus just pressing to a dark side or pressing to a light side. It's really pressing with intention in order to get your seams to nest. Patches will never starch. I get and appreciate that. Jana, I think, posted a note earlier, said that sometimes she just has to accept that the points are never going to match up. And I like that too, because again, if you're galloping by on a horse, no one is going to see that that star has an eighth of an inch missing on its tip. You'll be absolutely fine. Okay, those were our questions for this week. Go to cottoncuts.com/live to submit a question for our show for next week. They are here. Like we just never really know what rabbit holes we're going to go down. I love it, and I love your guys' engagement and reminding me what an acorn pen is. I am going to remember this next time. Next up, we have our segment, What is on your sewing table right now? So every Monday we do the show and share in the shop. You guys see what our team is able to make, and we love sharing what you guys are working on. So what's on your sewing table right now? For me personally, Night Glow is on my sewing table right now. I signed up to do Night Glow for Field of Dreamers, and I get to do 2 clue ones. We're going to talk about more why in just a minute, but Night Glow is on my sewing table. I love those fabrics. I am not usually a black and a gray person. I like the brights. I like the jewel tones, but this one's going to be fun for me, and I love those leopards. I've been loving seeing them posted in the Facebook group. You guys are fantastic. Please keep posting that stuff. All that's very interesting and insightful to us, and it helps the newbies along the way too. It helps to, I'm sewing this along and I'm really not sure if it's right, and I don't want to post it in a group, but when I see you post yours, now I have the confidence to know I did it correctly and I can post mine. So please keep posting pictures of your guys' progress. It actually helps the community, and it helps give everyone confidence that they're on the right track. So you are helping not only yourself, but you're helping other people when you do that. Please keep doing that. Let's see here. I'm seeing aprons for a women's retreat. I love that, Gloria. Aprons are a fun project. I feel like they're going to come back. Some Under the Sea Oasis, Pink Moon. Let's see here. A bunch of wovens were starched. Let's see here. Sarah, go ahead and we'll ask that question on our live show next week about the starch and wovens. And is there a specific thing? We'll definitely come back to wovens and talking about how they are different. And different substrates react differently. And we've done a couple shows. I can come back to that next week. Still making a bag. Night Glow, love the Night Glow. Aloha is amazing. Wonderment is on her table, Michelle. Under the Sea Black Pearl. Ordering 2 different quilts, a mystery quilt that is week by week. Yes, the week by week mystery quilts are not for the faint of heart, you guys. Those come real fast and furious. You got to stay on top of it. Sandy is working on her snowman door hangers and cardinal table runner placements. You guys are busy. I love it. I love it. It's fantastic. Keep up all that good work. All right, so what is going on in the shop? Our team has been busy. There is not a dull moment around here. There is no sitting around and having tea and having crumpets. We are busy. We are working hard. There are multiple projects going on at the same time. Our team is amazing. They are fantastic. I'm going to give you a number here in a minute, and it's going to be just bonkers, the amount of squares that our team is cutting. So Field of Dreamers, Clue 1, and almost all of the prepaids shipped last week. So that's a huge win for us, you guys. I know that there's people that the packages are taking their merry way, take that to them. And there's people that, hey, it's all this and all that. But you guys, it was a huge accomplishment for our team to get the prepaids that were purchased before January 20th, as well as all the Clue ones out the door last week. They did a fantastic job, you guys. So proud of the changes we made. So proud of the work they were putting in to get it done. It was fantastic. And now we get to sew, which is the best part of all these projects. I'm going to put a pin in Illusion. We'll come back to Illusion in just a minute, because as everyone knows, Illusion fabric was going to come a little later, and those were supposed to ship in March. So I'm going to put Illusion over here in a hold category. So what we're working on right now is we're getting all the people that have prepaid after January 20th. We're going to try and start shipping those tomorrow and into early next week. So if you ordered after that, or if there was perhaps something wrong with your order, we had a question, all those good things. All the prepaid kits are going to be done here real soon and on their way to you. Thank you guys so much for your patience. I can't even thank you enough. It's been fantastic to see how lovely you guys have been. I want to make sure that everyone's aware of the new postal changes, because a lot of people are saying that, my package shows that it shipped, but there's no scanning. And so the post office has changed the way they scan. So you're going to get an email when we mail something to you, and it's going to have a tracking number. But what happens is it's not actually scanned by the post office until it gets to a central distribution facility, if at all. So it's no longer the carrier scans it when they touch it and they take it. It actually gets scanned at the central receiving facility. So it might be a couple days after we hand it to them till it gets its first scan. And sometimes it might not come at all. You might be on your doorstep before it's even scanned. So don't necessarily be as trusting in the scans as you can, but understand that just because it hasn't been scanned by the post office doesn't mean we haven't handed it to them. Let's see here. Any update on Illusion or Daybreak? Yes. So come back. We're going to come back to that one, Laura. Let's see. Your Anne says she ordered 5 different PMQs and currently none have been received. Let me see. Let's say I'm going to get Carrie to take that one, Anne, because everything I believe has been shipped that has your attachment to it. So we'll find it. We've got it figured out for you. We'll get you all sorted. I'm looking over here at Carrie. She's working on it. Okay. So let's talk about Illusion. So if you are an Illusion detective, we knew that fabric was going to be coming late. It actually came a little earlier than we expected. So all the Illusion month-to-month clues are going to ship tomorrow. So if you're an Illusion detective and you signed up for a month-to-month delivery, we were able to get that little batch done. Those are going to be shipping tomorrow. All the Illusion prepaids will ship next week. So we have all the fabric cut off the bolt. We need to die cut it and kit it and make sure that they're super high quality. The Illusions are going to come next week. And I know that we have some itchy Illusion detectives out there, guys. But again, I am so happy because that wasn't supposed to ship till March, and here we are shipping in February. So again, the team has done an awesome job on that. Melissa's asking about borders and backing. So the borders come at the end for everything. The borders come at the end, and the Stitch It border boosts come at the end. All the backings come with your Clue 1 or with your prepaid delivery because we have all the backing kits here. So if you placed an order for a backing, it's going to come with it unless it was one on the website that had a delayed delivery date. And so you can check in your order. If it says ships in July, it's going to ship to you in July. Ships to you in April, it's going to ship to you in April. And so we found wide backs that we loved, but we didn't want to necessarily, hold up your delivery for them. So we definitely put that on the listing, ships in July, ships in June, ships in April. So unless yours is one of those, it's going to come with your Clue 1 at the beginning. Yes, Savannah, we are super excited about Illusion. Josie says she got her pillowcase. Love the pillowcases too. I'm so glad you guys love that. All right. I've been seeing people talk about bingo. Bingo, 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 bingo. So we started bingo about 5 years ago for the first time. And so this was a game that Robin started for us. And we started doing bingo, where everyone who participated on a puzzle mystery quilt got a bingo card. And the way it works is all online. It's all virtual. We're not actually going to print and mail you a bingo card. We gave you a link. So every PMQ that you purchased, you should have gotten one link for. So if you purchased in Anne's case 5, you should have gotten 5 URLs. Those are 5 different bingo cards. And so, the camera decided it just wanted to move. Okay. Sorry, the camera moved. Let me see if I go over here. Oh, hey, check that out. All right, this is going to be weird. Okay. So if you have 5, you're going to have 5 different URLs. So what we are suggesting is that you bookmark that URL. And so I know creation of a bookmark is something it's hard to do on a mobile device, but have a way to be able to save that. So perhaps keep the tab open. And then what's going to happen is starting today is we're going to post a bingo call. And so it's going to be, I'm making this up. Please do not consider this the official bingo call. But perhaps it is a block that is pink and has the word Tula Pink inside of it. When that call is made, you're going to go to the URL or the tab that has your bingo card, and you can actually poke it. And when you poke that, if you have Tula Pink on a pink square and you poke it, then you can actually record that into the bingo system. And Paul is going to give instructions on what we're looking for a given day. Like it could be a diagonal, it could be a straight line, it could be a blackout, it could be 4 corners. It's going to be different. We're going to play different versions of this as we go and give away lots of prizes, right? That's the intent, is you guys are excited about Clue 1. There's a lot of energy and we want to make sure that you guys continue to stay excited because it's a lot of fun what we're doing. And so this is a way to just, have fun every day. If you are not in our Cotton Cuts Fabric Facebook group, understanding not everyone is on Facebook. I get it. Like if you're watching me on Instagram right now, you're probably not on Facebook. That is totally fine. We've created a website, cottoncuts.com/bingo. And so you can log in there at the start of the day, see what today's call is, and mark your bingo cards. And then how often will you call it a bingo? Is it once a day? Once a day. Now, when we did this last time, we started accelerating that. So it's going to start out once a day. I will say start out at once a day. we are going to start to accelerate those calls. If it gets to be like call number 10, 11, 12, 13, we haven't found a winner yet, we're going to go faster because we've got lots of bingos to get out. And I don't want to be doing bingo in my retirement. So we're going to start accelerating. Be on the lookout. We will communicate that in all the places as it goes faster. Let's see here. Oops, Kits. The call will be posted by 11 o'clock every day. But like I said, there will be some days where we're going to start doing 2 and 3. Again, that'll all be communicated out and you guys will know. And if something happens and it gets past your bingo call and you haven't sent in the email to help at Cotton Cuts, it's totally fine. We have a master list of all the cards and who has all the cards. And so we will know. Make sure you're emailing us in so that way we can give you, and I think it's the first 5 or 10 for whatever game we're playing. Let's see here. Shirley's asking, haven't looked through her box yet. Is the pillowcase kit in it? Yes, we put the pillowcase kits in it, and a lot of the small wide backs went into your prepaid box if you've gotten it. An oops kit. So Carol's asking what an oops kit is. So an oops kit is something that we sell with our puzzle mystery quilt. So you're stitching along and say you have an accident, right? You sew wrong fabrics together and you're ripping them out. Your seam ripper accidentally cuts it, or your dog eats some fabric, or and this happens, and I'm going to say it because I've been there and I've seen it, where you're ironing and you leave your iron down because you want to lose something and you put fabric under there and you forget it's there. And so the idea is that here's an oops kit, and it comes with a fat eighth of one of each of the fabrics from your collection, from your colorway, and you can actually just cut it and keep sewing, right? If you're one of those folks that you have a certain amount of time allocated and you want to keep sewing, the oops kit is there for you to cut the parts and pieces you need to keep going. Now, we will always replace those parts and pieces, especially, I mean, we want to get you guys done with these projects. That's our guarantee. That's our pre-cut guarantee, is that we want to make sure that you guys finish these projects. So you can always reach out to us. We'll send you all the parts and pieces. I saw a post yesterday about someone who had to use a seam ripper and everything's distorted. Reach out to us. We'll replace all those parts and pieces for you because we want you to finish this project. We definitely don't want you to flame out in month 1 and have 9 months of clues that you don't want to sew. So we want you to finish these projects. We want you to be happy with them. We are definitely more than happy. Either if you are a self-starter and you want to do it on your own, we have the oops kits, or we will. Let's see. Feel the Dreamers will have a sew along on Saturday. I don't know what that is, Jana. We're going to come back to that. Let's see here. All right. Bingo directions have been provided. All right. So, I guess this. Yeah, it's not this Saturday. It's next Saturday. Okay, so that's actually Jana next on my list. Patricia Menchaca. Yes, you can buy the oops kits that you just showed. Oh, this actual specific one. This is for an old puzzle mystery quilt. So we keep this in our vault, in our safe. This one is, what was this one from? This was Tumbleweed from Wild West Mystery. And so we just grabbed it out of our orphanage. We keep this for when folks email in, a year or 2 after the end of a mystery and they need a part or piece. So that's what we keep these guys for. Oops kits would have shipped with your Clue 1, Greta, and with your prepaid box. Okay, so I think this is what Jana was talking about. So we're going to do something new for Field of Dreamers. And so we know that there's a lot of newbies out there. We've been seeing a lot of the questions. We monitor the Facebook group and all the posts. And so there's a lot of newbies out there. And what we decided to do was on Saturday, February 21st. So not this Saturday, it's Valentine's Day. We have other plans, guys. Next Saturday, February 21st at 8:30 Central Time, we are going to be hosting a live show just like this in this format. So it is not going to be a Zoom. It is not going to be a big kind of event type of thing. It's literally going to be in this type of format where we're going to be streaming on YouTube and on Facebook. And I will be going through and demonstrating how to sew a Clue 1. So if you are feeling stuck, if you're feeling overwhelmed, I am actually going to be sewing a Clue 1 live during that broadcast, and I will be answering your guys' questions. So if you're stuck, if you're confused, definitely just set it aside and join us on Saturday the 21st and ask all the questions as you go along. So I will show you the parts and pieces, how to read the instructions. And by the end of our time together, we will actually have a finished Clue 1 that we've made together. I hope that you guys can allocate the time. If you want to sit at your sewing machine and sew along with me, that is absolutely fantastic. If you want to watch and pick up tips and tricks, that is definitely your jam too. But that is going to be the first clue of our upcoming, and we call this charity loop. I want to rename this. But what we are doing is we are creating a quilt for Field of Dreamers that we are then going to raffle at the end of the reveal with all proceeds to benefit the Social Justice Sewing Academy. So let me talk about this quilt a little bit. We have found 9 sewing influencers, ambassadors, just generally really cool people. Each month, one of them is going to sew a clue and they will sign it with their name. We have these fantastic water fast pens. Everyone's going to be signing it with their name. And then we're going to stitch it all together into a finished quilt. And so there'll be 9 people that will have stitched different clues that are going to go into this finished quilt. And we're going to finish it for you. Our good friend Beth Goody at Goody Goods is going to quilt the quilt for someone, and you will receive it if you win the raffle. The raffle site is almost up. It's as we've done this many times in the past if you've been with us for a while. I think it's like 5 tickets for $20, I think so, or 1 for 5. And so it's what we've done in the past before. And so you can sign up for the raffle at any point in time, or you can wait until the end. And we are going to give all the proceeds to this. Cotton Cuts always matches every proceed. To the Social Justice Sewing Academy. We have been a sponsor of this organization in the past. I have been a mentor to many of their sewists over the years. We love Social Justice Sewing Academy, and they do fantastic work. So we're going to give the proceeds from the raffle to this organization to continue their work promoting social justice sewing and promoting younger generations to continue to sew. Okay. Catherine, I would love to have you watch and hang out with us. I'm sure you would have fantastic questions that you can definitely ask along the way. Any good prospects on cotton cuts, sewing, retirement, tiny homes, land? I don't know what those words mean. Oh, okay. Yes. I don't have an update on us buying property and building a quilting ranch for people to come retire to and sew. I feel like let's put that in maybe the Cotton Cuts 20-year vision is we'll build a ranch and we'll all just go and retire and sew together. I think that's a fantastic idea. Just not this week. Can we maybe make it like later into the future? All right. Let's see. In the things that have shipped, Java and Chroma shipped this week. So if you're a platinum member and chose Java, a lot of you did. We had a lot of Java boxes go out this week. I love the Java bundle. Those pinks are very awesome. We also have Modern Maker. And so this month's Modern Maker, we have Art Gallery fabrics, which I have here to show you guys. And so if you guys have not sewn with Art Gallery and you're Modern Maker or a platinum member, this is fantastic fabric. I love these sage green colors. And because it's art gallery, there's always sometimes a bit of whimsy to it. And so we've got these pelicans. I believe they're pelicans. You know, I'm ashamed. I went to New Orleans. They're cranes. Excuse me. They're dancing cranes. And they're on this green. And I love that our camera this week is actually showing the real color. What's that now? Yeah, you'll be fine. And so this collection and I have the card here. It is from Art Gallery. It's called Soar, appropriately named for those dancing cranes. And so that's one of the groups of free fabrics that you would get if you're a Modern Maker member. And the fabric is really, really fun. Never too early to think about retirement. Yes, Sylvia. We're going to work on that. Again, not this week. Maybe next week or the week after, but not this week. All right, so I want to talk about Luau. My gosh, you guys, we have just had so much stuff going on here. The team is almost done die cutting Luau, if you can believe it. So Luau is going to start shipping tomorrow. If you have purchased an optimal kit or a die cut kit, they are going to start shipping tomorrow. In order to be in your hands by March 4th when the first clue drops. For scope and scale, you guys, we have die cut over 15,000 6.5-inch squares. 6.5-inch squares are a chunk of fabric, you guys. They are really, really big. There has been over 15,000 of them cut by our team here. They are fantastic. They are amazing. They're precise. You don't have to worry about any of the shenanigans. Could you imagine 15,000 cutting 15,000 squares? We're doing that all for you. There's no need to get the ruler and the precision and all that stuff. We will take care of it. So like I said, Luau will start March 4th. We still have a couple kits available in the shop, including this one, which makes me sad because this is actually a really cool kit. So this one is Kalani. This is from Ruby Stars collection. Here, let me see if I can get the texture on the camera. I got it to angle it. This has metallic inlay in it, you guys. And the colors when they come together are so fun. They are so bright. It reminds me, and this is becoming a trendy. And when I'm going to hold up these fabrics and show you, very 80s retro. And I know 80s is becoming popular. There was a whole collection that was released by Dear Stella, and it was all this retro 80s, very felt Saved by the Bell like, and that's what this quilt is like. So if that's a fond memory for you, please consider this colorway because it is so much fun and it is fantastic. But these are some of the common shapes you're going to get. including those 6.5-inch squares, some 6 and 7/8 for triangles, and lots and lots and lots of strips. Let's see here. So, and that one is going to be done on April Fool's Day. I am not kidding when I say that. That is no joke. But the reveal is going to be on April 1st. I have no doubt we'll have some shenanigans when we shoot that video and show you guys what the finished luau looks like. Like I said, ours is a little different than all the other shops that are participating in the Mystery 50 program. It always is a little different. Once we introduce the die cutters, plus we want to make it easy for you guys. And so with all the parts and pieces that you're going to get for Mystery 50, you can do both of the finished designs, or because we love when we see what you guys create on your own, you can create them together and make this awesome Frankenstein quilt that's yours. And so you will have enough parts and pieces to do both finished designs or do a hybrid together or come up with your own. I love seeing all that. You guys inspire us when you do something that's not necessarily like the pattern. I like to color outside the lines too. And because there's not enough going on, we're going to be doing another blowout sale. I know it feels like we just had one, like that was end of December, but we're going to do definitely something a little bit smaller this time. It's going to be way more fun. We're doing things a little differently to make it easier for everybody. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a color themed daily drop of fabric. We did that last time. You guys loved it. So these are 5-yard cuts of fabric. They're going to start out, I think, at $50. And each day they're going to drop down. And they're going to be grouped by colors this time, not by manufacturers. And we'll have some surprises along the way. We're going to keep it simple this time, you guys, but that is coming. Okay. I think that's everything in the category of things that are going on at Cotton Cuts, you guys. We have tons of stuff. I want to share with you guys also that our calendar for 2026 is starting to fill up of new projects and new exciting things that we're going to do. And so you're going to want to stay with us because we have the big Liberty project coming up. Signups for that are going to start in March, with the actual project starting in May. You're going to want to pay attention to that one. I had my meeting with the Riley Blake design team, and we are off and running on that. So it's coming in March for signups to ship into May. We also have retreats. So we have our Denver retreat that's coming up in a month. I think we're down to 1 available seat, I want to say. So make sure that if you guys want to go to Denver for spring break, because I mean, I want to go, I'm going to go. Jason and I will be there. We're going to have fun. We're going to have shenanigans. We have Rebecca Bryan coming with us to teach freezer paper piecing. We have 1 seat coming for Denver. So make sure you jump up and get that. CottonCutsRetreats.com. Hellos to all started late and just able to scroll back to comments on her phone. Let's see. Say hello to Paula and thanks for the help. Michelle Williams says thanks for the help. Woohoo. What time is the first bingo call released? So it'll be released each day before 11 o'clock. Liberty of London. That's a new project we're going to start in March. There's going to be a lot more coming. What about the stars? I don't know what stars. Oh, the stars. The stars. Okay, so you're gonna have to forget me, Gina. There's like a lot going on here. Okay, so what you can't see here, actually, I'm gonna do this. Okay, so we're gonna go on an adventure. Okay, so because I can. So that right there, that is our night sky. And so we have gotten about 10 stars in. And so Paula has them on her desk. We're gonna start ironing it on, and we'll give you guys an update on what the night sky looks like next week as we take a look at the star banner. But it's hanging there. It's ready to get stuff ironed onto it. And so actually I'm kind of liking this, Paula. This is not too bad. All right. Okay, shall we talk about chain piecing, gang? All right, let's talk about chain piecing. So chain piecing is something that if you know how to do it, you might take it for granted. And if you don't know what chain piecing is, it might feel something super complicated, something that's very, very hard, and something that you can't do. And so what I want to show you is that it is a way to use your sewing machine very efficiently to do, in my process mind, 1 step at a time. Do 1 step at a time, do it well, do it consistently, and then move on to the next process step all at the same time. And so if you've chain pieced before, you're going to recognize this little lovely, right? So this is what the result is when you chain piece and when you stitch things together. Now, I want to show you guys. Chain piecing doesn't always have to be the same shape. You can chain piece a whole bunch of different shapes together in the same time in order to be able, oh, I don't have my thing. Hold on, Paula. On my desk, can you get the little triangle piece that's magenta? Hold on a second. So yes, so you'll have this triangle, this pieces together. Always love Kim's morning energy. Thank you, Crystal. I appreciate it. And so how do you do that, right? You're sewing along and you're following the instructions and you're sewing a piece and you're going to pull it out of your machine, trim your thread. You're going to sew another piece, pull it out of your machine, trim the thread. And this might seem like voodoo, but it's really, really, really very, very easy. And so yes, thank you. So what you're going to do is you're going to run that piece of fabric through like you normally would, leave your presser foot down, line up the second piece, and then just keep on stitching. And you're going to get just a teeny tiniest little bit of thread between the two of them. You can see it there. Just a teeny tiniest little piece of thread between the two parts and pieces. But that way you're just going to keep continuously sewing. And this helps if you are exceptionally prepared at the beginning. So you've got this stack, and I'm going to use island hopping as an example because how many 9 patches do we make for island hopping? And so we had to make like 100 where we sewed 2 pieces of fabric together. And so if I'd have taken them and stitched them through and then cut and trimmed, stitch them through, cut and trimmed, stitch them through, cut and trimmed, I would have been at my sewing machine a long time. However, by putting it through the sewing machine, leaving your presser foot down, leaving your needle down, lining up the next piece, restarting the machine, you're going to get a nice super long chain like this that is going to make it so much easier to then go over to your iron and actually press all these pieces, especially if they're in order, right? And so that order is part of the preparation. Read through your instructions, and if you know I need to sew 8 of these to 8 of these, get 8 of these, get 8 of these, put them the way you want them to be sewn together next to your sewing machine, bam, 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 into the machine, and you will end up with 8 at the end. And I know that, especially when I was early on and I was doing one, cutting it, I'd be like, oh my God, am I at 37 or am I at 38? I don't know. Am I at 42 or am I at 45? I don't know. It's easy to lose track. But if you control your input to the sewing machine, if I know I have 8 here and 8 here, I know I'm going to have 8 at the end, and I don't have to count them individually because I'm managing the inputs into the machine. Now, one of the tips that I have learned and love from you guys is that the cotton cuts parts and pieces, unless you're sewing with a batik, so just ignore batiks for this comment, is our fabrics are always right side, wrong side, right side. And so because of the way we die cut them, all the right sides are going to be facing together. And then the next piece on all these stacks is going to be a wrong side. But what someone has told us, and I love, is that if I take the top piece on this and I move it to the back of the stack, so move it to the back of the stack, now my parts and pieces are perfectly aligned for chain piecing. And I've just simplified the process because I'm going to take one from here and sew it to the top of one from here. Then I'm going to take this one and sew it to the top of this one, sew it to the top of this one. And it goes into the machine so much easier. And I'm not flipping and folding back and forth. I've seen comments of folks in the Facebook group that have sewed the wrong side of the fabrics together. You guys, we've all been there. We've all done that. This little tip helps actually if you take the top of one and move it to the back. Then you'll always make sure you've got the right side, wrong side sorted. And you're literally just taking one from here to the top of this one, from here to the top of this one, from here to the top of this one. And you're going to chain piece those right through the sewing machine. Now, this also helps because you're doing one thing, because you're sewing at a large volume. It is very, very easy to be very consistent with your seam allowance. So we've talked a lot about consistency and seam allowances. If I'm sewing one piece and then setting it to the side and sewing one piece and setting it to the side, think about those half rectangle triangles that we sewed together for island hopping. And in your mind, I know every single person was reading the instructions and saying, okay, so I'm going to offset this point a little bit. I'm going to do my seam allowance and I'm going to measure from here and I'm going to stop sewing here. If every time you have to then finish, cut, and then reprocess that order of events versus just, okay, I'm going to focus on sewing. I'm going to focus on my tips. I know exactly where they want the points to be into the machine, into the machine, into the machine. You're going to be so much more consistent at the end of the day because you only have to train yourself those instructions once versus into the machine, snip, into the machine, snip, into the machine, snip. So this helps with consistency because it's easier as human beings to focus on one step at a time and make one step at a time as consistent as possible. Now, let's see here. Yeah, the half rectangle triangles, right? That's a perfect example of if I am sewing it and have to retrain myself every time, I'm going to make a mistake. But if you can just sit and do the same step every time. Now, when you have this guy, right? This is, and I was talking to my husband, Mr. Cotton Cuts, about this morning, about chain piecing. And he remembers me sewing the island hopping in Madison with my nephews. And they were so excited to see Auntie Kim sew. And they loved these because I gave them this to play with. So they make a whole bunch of different tools and fun little gadgets like this here. And so I'm gonna zoom in on the camera. I'm gonna zoom in on the Instagram side, and I'm gonna zoom in on the Facebook side. So this little guy here has a blade in there, and it is made by a local company, sunflowerquilts.com. Women owned, mother daughter. They're fantastic. They go to shows. Some of you guys might have some of these little pyramid guys, but these are used to actually break apart quickly and efficiently without having to snip. These are used to cut these seams and parts and pieces apart. And one of the things that I like about their design, and they actually have a patent on it, is that it doesn't cut the fabric. It just cuts the thread. It's not sharp enough to cut fabric. It is sharp enough to cut the thread. And so when you are doing this and you're actually breaking these apart, this is where organization comes in handy again. Not only organization of inputs, but you want the organization of the outputs as well. So if you have this on your table, I'm going to have to float it so you guys can see it. And then you bring your parts and pieces here. Before you know it, you're going to have a stack of the same shape and the same parts and pieces, right? And so once you have this, now it's really easy to just take this stack over to my iron and press it because it's all the same shape, it's all the same dimensions, and they're all stacked on top of each other. I see people are talking about this little guy. There are definitely other options for this type of guy that get to the same concept. So I think Gypsy Quilter makes one that uses old rotary blades. So you put your old rotary blade between this little case, and what sticks up here is your old rotary blade. Same concept. And so it's for chain piecing. And those boys, when they're 3 and 7, they got so fast. They were like boom, 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 boom. And all of my pieces were sorted and organized. And when you get here, I was able to teach them that once they break this, okay, those are all the squares. Put those in a stack, set them aside, and then they're ready for the next shape. And so they were able to have a nice little stack of squares for me that I had stitched together. They had a nice little stack of triangles that I had stitched together. And because I was very particular with them about how they stacked them, it was easier to press the seams because I had them stack them a certain way. And it was great. It was really super fast. It got the kids involved. I see people remembering watching their aunt and that she used to use these kind of elements. You know, the nephews are a lot of fun to have around. They're in. My nephews are now sewers, and I love it. Let's see here. Crystal likes the blade saver because it reuses the rotary blades. Absolutely. Chain piecing and using the cutter has changed the sewing skills. Now, you don't have this guy. I get it. Like, we don't want to buy other stuff. We might not have enough big sewing space. A lot of sewing machines have those thread cutters on the side of the machine, right? And so they're often meant to, as you pull out a piece out of your sewing machine, you push it on the side. Similar concept to this guy. And if I don't have a really long piece, I will sit there and I will use that. I will run it on the side of my machine and I will cut my chains using that blade that's already in my machine. Now, holding my arm up like this for an extended period of time is not fun, which is why this little guy sits on the table, or rent a nephew, right? I feel like that's a thing that can help you with your chain piecing, is to rent a nephew out and have him help you cut this. Linda, if you're willing to drive to Madison, I'm sure those boys will happily cut any chain piecing that you've got. So we talked about how to sew them together. We talked about the preparation. So what can go wrong when you're chain piecing? And I would love to hear if you guys have any things that have gone wrong for you for chain piecing, because I don't want to paint this idealized picture that chain piecing is the end all be all and it works perfectly every time, because it does not always. So for me, there's a couple ways in which it goes awry. So there can be misaligned seams. So as your machine is stitching from one piece and it starts picking up the next piece, your feed dogs are going to want to, they're going to want to go all wobbly. And because they're picking up a piece, you haven't lift up your presser foot and put the fabric underneath it and drop your presser foot down. So because you haven't fully engaged the feed dogs at that intersection point, sometimes it can go a little wobbly. Sometimes you're okay with that. I most times am okay with it being a little wobbly because I know I'll be able to fix it at future steps when I'm bringing seams together. But if you are beginning and that little wobbly is concerning to you, one of the easiest and cheapest and quickest tips and tricks is to put a little piece of tissue paper under there, because then that's going to keep your feed dogs engaged with all parts of your fabric at the same time. And so between those two junctions, that tissue paper is going to pull all of it through. It's going to keep it nice and even where those points meet. And the tissue paper is super easy to tear off. You don't have to change your stitch length like you do for foundation paper piecing. But tearing off that tissue paper is a really quick and easy way to keep all those seams aligned and to keep everything exactly where it's supposed to be. Sometimes your fabric drifts, right? So we all have when you get a lot of weight on the backside, sometimes it wants to pull it. One of the lessons I learned in an early sewing class is that your hands should never go past the metal plate, the metal foot plate in your sewing machine. They should stay behind that line. That's why I teach the kids. This prevents you from getting sewn through a finger, but it also prevents you from pulling your fabric through. You should not be manhandling and pulling the fabric through your machine. The feed dogs are there for that job. That is their purpose. But make sure that you're letting the machine pull it through at its pace and at the way it wants it to. And you're not grabbing the chain in the back. You're not grabbing the chain in the back and pulling your fabric through. That is one surefire way to get your fabric to slide around. That is one surefire way to get your fabric to drift. And it also does contribute to your piecing errors, right? So if you are finding that your pieces aren't lining up, are you putting your hand behind the machine and are you pulling it? Some cases you have to. I get it. Your fabric gets sucked into your machine, which is another problem I have a lot. And so you want to just grab the chain and pull it through to keep it going. Up to you if you want to do that or not, but it's generally not recommended. You want to keep your hands in front of the metal plate on your sewing machine. Fabric stuck in the machine. So this happens to me a lot where the fabric gets stuck down because you're not lifting the presser foot and putting the fabric in each time and lowering it on top. The fabric does tend to get sucked in, but because of the chain wants to pull it through and it will come out on its own. We have a ton of tricks, the tissue paper trick, the making sure that your bottom plate has just a hole and not a slot for stitching. That'll also prevent your fabric from getting sucked into the bottom of your machine. It's going to happen. There's a lot of ways to debug it. Having a sharp needle also helps as well. But it depends on what you're looking for. But for me, my fabric does tend to get stuck in my machine a little bit, but I am able to work through that and not a problem. Let's see here. Catherine has a tip. Let me finish this one really quick first. So losing track of your pairs when you're chain stitching. And so this is one that it's really easy to get in the zone and be like, okay, I'm loving these half rectangle triangles. I am stitching, 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 stitching. And before you know it, you've lost track of your pairs and you're like, did I just sew the right side to the wrong side? Am I doing the left on the right? And so that can happen sometimes whenever you're doing a repetitive task too much, which is why sometimes taking a break will help. Sometimes walking away if you're doing several hundred of something, but your brain gets a little tired and sometimes you lose track of your pairs. It's totally fine. It's going to happen. We have seam rippers for this. And just making sure that you're visually checking each one and that's part of your checklist as you're sewing each one is to make sure, okay, the green is on top of the red always, and the green big triangle goes through the machine first, and the red triangle goes through the machine second. Like as long as you're keeping track of that in your checklist as you're sewing through all these parts, it typically helps as well. So Catherine is saying if you make a mistake on the first one, it's repeated through the whole process. That is absolutely true. That's true with the process here on the floor, right? If we make a mistake on the first one, we are consistent as human beings, and so it's going to be propagated through the whole time. So make sure that when you're doing this, you're very confident in what you want your output to be. If that's why the preparation comes in place. That's why I know I have 8 of this and I have 8 of this. If you need 8 of fabric A and 8 of fabric B and you've pulled fabric C and D, that's not going to help you. It'll unfortunately be a mistake. So that planning and preparation, make sure you've got the right fabric and the right shape and the right size and the right quantity. That way you only have to check that once. And Catherine, that's one of the benefits of this is that if I check it once and I am sure at the beginning, I'm not checking it every time if I'm only sewing one piece at a time. Let's see here. Yeah, someone's talking to you, Granite Quilter. That absolutely happens. Someone's going to come up and want to talk to you, and of course you're going to make a mistake. It happens here on the shop floor. People will be in a groove, and someone comes up and talks to them, and it's like, now we got to start completely over and get ready my preparation and my count. Oh, Sarah has a fantastic tip. If she has to pull the seam ripper out twice, it's probably time to take a break. I think that's a fantastic guess. If you catch yourself making a mistake twice, it's probably time to step out, take a break, come back, and restart your checklist from the beginning again. Now, I am going to tell you that one of the things that I do is I will take an entire clue of a puzzle mystery quilt. Now, mind you, this is like a super advanced skill. This is I've been doing mystery quilts for 10 years. This is one of these things that when I want to sew a puzzle mystery quilt, I batch my processes. So I will take out an entire clue and I will read through the entire thing. And if there is a whole bunch of this that needs to get done for step 1A and step 1B and step 1C, I do all of this at once. And so Paula's saying that's what she did too. Right. And so I know if you are just learning out, if you're just starting, do step 1, do step 2, do step 3. If this is your, like Greta Sobel, if this is a lot of mysteries for you, do step 1 of section 1, do step 1 of section 2. And I do all that chain piecing at once. So that way I can get all of those shapes knocked out, get all these little half square triangles done, get all of my flying geese done with the quarter square triangles. And I chain piece as much as I can from the beginning. But again, it requires a lot of preparation. I can't just grab 2 pieces and assume they're going to go together. I have to make sure I'm following the instructions in the pattern, because every now and then Sheila likes to throw a little loophole in and decide to, hey, this one's going to be this direction and this one's going to be this other direction. And so it does take a lot of preparation. It does take a lot of planning, but that's how I do it. And I'm able to get a clue done in less than 30 minutes. Greta says that's how she does it too, right? So if you're a seasoned quilter and you're very comfortable with this, chain piecing all the chain piecing at once, that's how I've done almost every PMQ for the past couple of years, because it makes sense. Let's see here. Make sure to keep everything organized. Make sure you use your pen strategically. So I like to chain piece sometimes with pens, right? So I'm talking about when you're at the step past this. So you have 8 of these and you're attaching them to 8 squares. And so I usually like to put the square on top of the half square triangles, and sometimes I'm pinning them if I'm sewing 4 or 5 junctions together at once. And then I'm making sure that if I have the 2 pieces here, I'm using my pins. Like I'll take the pin out of one and put it in the next one, take the pin out of one, put it in the next one, take the pin out of one and put it in the next one. So that way I don't end up with pins all over my house. I used to have small children in the house. They're not so small anymore. We have pets, right? So this is the type of thing I don't want pins really floating around my house very far. So I am very much like, if I start a process and I have 3 pins, I make sure I have 3 pins at the end. So that way I know that they all go back into the pin cushion. Yes, let's see here. Shirley's saying it takes her hours, but then I have cats that think they can help. Exactly, right? You have pins that might walk away or cats that think they can help. Let's see here. Patricia says that she thinks her squares and her half square triangles are off. Definitely send in a note. We will get you all taken care of on that front. Let's see here. Gianna is saying, okay, so Gianna, I would consider to be a seasoned detective. She's done a lot of mysteries with us. She would say, even for seasoned detectives, chain piecing for clue 1 isn't the best idea because you were just getting used to your colorway. Guess how I know? So I'm going to assume that she knows because she's done this, but she's absolutely right, which is that deliberation, right? It's the what is fabric 1, what is fabric 2. You're in a new colorway, and if you're doing more than one colorway at a time, like if you have 2 or 3 different colorways, it's definitely a preparation skill to be able to chain piece all the colorways and mix them all together. But it's really organization and making sure that you've got all of your steps together. Okay. So we're about to jump into luau. And as we all learned from island hopping, chain piecing is so important, and luau is going to be the same. And so I want you guys to just, if you've never chain pieced before, please try it. Please ask us in our group, ask us on social media. We are more than happy to help you, because chain piecing is what makes these beautiful quilts come together so easily. And it really, I mean, it would be mind-boggling if I had to do those 109 patches and I did one, trimmed it, one, trimmed it, one, trimmed it. The chain piecing is a game changer for me as a quilter, and it is one of those things that I take for granted now. And I want to remind all of the quilters out there that while chain piecing may seem like something that's really obvious for you to do, it's actually not for everybody. And so let's make sure we're encouraging folks that are chain piecing for the first time, because that first time you do anything is very scary. And so I want you guys to try it if you don't know what I'm talking about. I would also challenge you, if you're more seasoned in chain piecing, how can you chain piece further faster? So me, I've been chain piecing a long time, and at the end of my chain, I'll actually take those 8 pieces and I will press them to the next piece and I will continue the chain. So it almost becomes a tube. And so my chain is less a chain and more a circle. And so there's lots of different things. Again, preparedness and making sure you're knowing what you're sewing together. I have had to seam rip when I've done that, and I think I'm being fun and efficient, but there are times when mistakes happen that way. But soon the chain becomes a circle, and then you're continuously stitching things together. Let's see here. Savannah, taking time and carefully reading the assembly instructions before she sews has been very helpful as well. Yes, definitely true. Let's see here. Sarah says she always makes one full test block first to find future pitfalls. I agree. And also learning on the pressing and when you have to press and all of those things help as well. And then she likes having the goal as she does the chain. And I think that's a fantastic guy is you're sewing all these 9 patches, have one next to the machine so you know what you're working towards, know what you're building towards. It's a good motivation tool as well. Fantastic, Sarah. Thank you. All right. So I think that's it. That's it for chain piecing, you guys. Those are as many tips and tricks as I've got to make you dangerous if you haven't tried it before, or hopefully if you're advanced to give you more confidence to continue to push yourself to become efficient and make these projects kind of go faster, because the more projects you make, the more quilts you get at the end of the day, which is always a win for everyone. Laura, that is the best tip I've heard all day. Make sure you have your swatch card handy whenever you're working in a puzzle mystery quilt, and make sure you're always looking at what's fabric 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to talk about this next Saturday. Is I actually lay out all of my parts and pieces in fabric order. So I have fabric 1 all together, fabric 2 all together, fabric 3 all together. And I do that at the beginning. Again, that's all part of the preparedness. That's the part that makes it easier when you're that makes your future self happier, because you're going to avoid mistakes that way. Any videos on scant 1/4 inch for Patricia Menchaca? So we talked about it in one of the live shows, and we've given verbal instructions, and I know we talked about the 3 threads. We will see if we can find any off the shelf content about the scant 1/4 inch and how to stitch it, and we'll post it into the Facebook group. Okay, that's the end of the content for me, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, you guys. It has been fun. It has been fantastic. I love talking about ways to make quilting more easier and more efficient. And I like that, we can make more things. Because sometimes we get stuck in a rut and we lose our mojo. And I think getting to that finished block, getting to that finished quilt wants us to make and create more. And then seeing the look on someone's face when they receive it. So hang with me to the end of the video. And here's the question that we're going to ask you to get a $25 gift card to the Cotton Cut Shop. So find this video on Instagram, find it on YouTube, find it on Facebook, and answer this question. We'll pick one lucky winner for that gift card. What's one quilting technique you want to master this year? And so I like this question now because we're past the January 1st resolutions that usually don't make it to January 2nd. And so we're past all these. We have really big ideas because we're on the end of the year high. But now here we are at February 12th. What is one quilting technique you would like to master before the end of the year? Dannon says nesting her seams. For me, this one's easy. Freezer paper piecing. I'm looking forward to Rebecca Bryan in Denver. I've never done freezer paper piecing before. I am looking forward to not having to tear all the paper out and making my seam allowance, making my stitch length really short as you would in foundation paper piecing. And the blocks that we're going to make with Rebecca are super awesome. They're fantastic colorways. Again, these things that once you see it, you're like, why didn't I put those colors together? And so I am looking forward to freezer paper piecing. Perfect 1/4 inch seam curves. Master cleaning my workspace after I finish sewing. Jana, that's an aspirational goal. I love that. Foundation paper piecing. Keeping a steady 1/4 inch. Learn how to sew curves. You guys are fantastic. I love all these goals, and they're all achievable by the end of the year. All right, so that is a wrap for us today. You guys don't forget Mystery 50, Yield of Dreamers, and all the other things that we've got going on. Thank you guys so much for spending your Thursday morning with me. I hope everyone has a fantastic rest of your day wherever you are, and we will see you soon. Bye now. And cut. Thank you so much for watching our video. We have so much fun making these, and we hope that you were both delighted and inspired by what you just watched. This video was sponsored by Cotton Cuts. Cotton Cuts is your one stop for all the best fabric and thread memberships. Love fabric? We've got you covered. Love thread? We've got you covered. We get that no 2 quilters are cut from the same cloth, which is why our memberships are as unique as you. We also have the largest block of the month in the world. Over 4,000 detectives solve our puzzle mystery quilts every year, and you can join them. Simply go to cottoncuts.com to learn more about all the awesome and fun things that we're doing. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe to make sure you get all of our new fresh content every time it comes out. Thank you so much. Happy sewing enthusiasts, and we will see you soon. Bye now.